As a speech-language pathologist, it is important to know when you hear a person's voice, whether or not it falls within the normal parameters. Thankfully, there are many tools available to speech-language pathologists to help them out. One such tool is PROT, and I have used it here to help define the 6 parameters of speech as generated by Zemlin. The first one is maximum frequency range, which is the flexibility and pitch of a person's voice, or the lowest tone a person can hold to the highest tone. While age and sex don't affect this range as much, it can reveal a lot about a person's physical condition. Normal frequency range is around 2.5 to 3 octaves, with a minimum of 135 hertz for females and a maximum of over 1,000 hertz. To test this, I'm going to read a sentence from the Rainbow Passage, recorded on PROT, and then using the software, find the range in octaves. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form a rainbow. So we can see, if we show the pitch, that the lowest pitch is 80 hertz and the highest is 310 hertz. So if we use our knowledge of hertz and octaves, we can find that the range is going to be in between 2.5 and 3 octaves, which is within the normal limits. So throughout speech, most men, women, and children exhibit appropriate pitch levels. If someone's pitch varies greatly and does not meet the expectations for age and sex, that could indicate a problem. We can test the speaking fundamental frequency by having the patient do some oral reading or complete a conversational speech task. I'm just going to use the same sample of my reading from the Rainbow Passage and find the pitch level. And by doing that, we can see that the pitch is 188.13. We know that a normal pitch for children is 250 to 300 hertz. For men is 80 to 150 hertz, and for women is 180 to 250 hertz. I fell in between the 180 to 250, so it is within the normal limits. The next one we're going to look at is maximum phonation time. This is the ability to sustain a vowel in one breath. If someone is unable to hold for a normal amount of time, we can predict that they might have a problem with valving the airstream during speech. The way I would test this is by simply asking the patient to sustain a vowel. For example, ah. I'm going to set my stopwatch and see how long I can hold the vowel. Because I was able to sustain the sound for 18.42 seconds, it is within the normal limits, as children can sustain for at least 10 seconds, and then adults are from 15 to 25 seconds. Now we're going to look at the minimum maximum intensity, which is the amplitude. So the loudness of a person's speech is considered in the parameters of normal speech. For conversational speech, we see a range of 65 to 80 decibels. However, this can vary due to the environment and context of the conversation. Age has little effect on average amplitude for men, women, and children. Without variation in amplitude, a person's voice would sound very monotone. In this case, it would be helpful to do a voice range profile to determine if a person's range is within normal limits. Here, the patient would sustain vowels at varying pitches. At each one, the patient produces the softest sound and then the loudest sound he or she can. A graph is created and gives us information on the minimum and maximum intensity through contours. For now, we will use PROT to look at the intensity in the passage I read before. I click Show Intensity, and we get 68.68 decibels, which is within the normal limit. Next, we look at periodicity of vocal fold vibration. Jitter helps us define this parameter. So we know that voice is not completely periodic. However, a voice that is overly periodic would mean that the patient has maybe a hoarse or rough sounding voice. So using the same passage, I can find the jitter by getting a voice report, which is under the pulse heading, and seeing that the relative average perturbation is 1.019%, and that's actually within the normal parameters, as it's around 1% or less. Lastly, we're going to look at noise, which provides a ratio of the periodic harmonic sound to the aperiodic noise in the voice, and it's measured in decibels and called a harmonics to noise ratio. We can use PROT in the Rainbow Passage along with some simple math to get the result of 19.57, which seems a little higher than the normal, Males is 18.42 and females is 18.81. We can see that Pratt can tell us a lot about the variations in voices. A lot of it is really helpful as it can reveal some underlying problems when a patient's results do not fall within the normal parameters.